Hello, everybody, and welcome to New Album Spotlight, the show where I put the spotlight on a new album of progressive rock that I think you guys will really enjoy. I'm really excited for today's episode. I'm talking about a brand new band that probably many of you haven't heard of before. One that I've been enjoying their release for several weeks now. And I'm very grateful that the band sent me an early copy of this one, and it's been such a joy to get to experience it. It actually was released last weekend on November 24th, so it's out there and available on your streaming service of choice. So please go out there and check the band out if you're so inclined. The band is called Press to Enter, and their new album is From Mirror to Road. So this is a band that originates from Denmark, but they have a sound that's not too similar to Danish metal that you might hear. You know, they infuse some different layers and different sounds that set them apart from other metal music from where they're from. To me, the biggest feature of their music is, of course, the female vocalist. You know, we've got Julie Jules Wingreen on vocals, who's a fantastic singer who really brings a new dimension to their sound and is a fresh voice in this genre, in my opinion. You've also got Lucas Seiserbach on bass and Simon Laulund on guitar. So a great trio who are the core of the group, but they add a lot of layers of sound on top of this core of bass, guitar, and vocals. There's a bit of an 80s aesthetic in my mind, like this 80s synth type sound. You get the cool, djenty prog metal sound that you might expect from a more modern progressive metal group, but they infuse it with these really cool, catchy pop vocal hooks and a sense of funk and groove to the tracks that make them more accessible and grabby to my ears. You know, it's just a really fun listen with a lot of great, cool stuff to dig into. And I like bands that are able to balance this more technical side to their sound. You know, they obviously have technical abilities. There's some ripping guitar solos. There's some really cool bass grooves. There's even some cool keyboard moments. But they're not too flashy. They don't just show off for the sake of it. It all services the song, and they always come back to these great vocal hooks and melodies that really ground the music and keep it accessible for any kind of audience. So I really love it. They remind me a bit of a band, Arc Echo, who are actually an instrumental band, but I think they have a similar aesthetic. Like, add female vocals to Arc Echo and you get a feel for what Press to Enter is. Just really cool, almost jazzy style progressive metal that comes through in an excellent way. So every track has something interesting to bring to the table. The opening track is Paul to the Wall. Opens with some glittering 80s style guitars before it gets more of a metal edge. There's a killer bass riff before we get to those main chugging guitars. Then enters into the song this really effects-laden female vocal. We get a fairly poppy, catchy chorus, which is well blended with the progressive metal backdrop. Some cool instrumental sections. There's some frantic staccato bass playing before a soaring guitar solo comes into the mix. And then there's this cool instrumental moment where it gets this like breezy kind of video game style sound in the instrumental, which is really fun and brings an extra added layer and dimension and almost a sense of whimsy to the music before they get back to some killer bass work and their heavier sound. So a really great opening that showcases the band and showcases everything that they're about. Sky High Places has some great glittering 80s sound as well, some sparkly guitars and expansive sounds. Get some groove when the quirky vocals enter. You get great interplay of all the instruments. There's some cool jazzy chords that you hear in the guitars, some great shuffling drums. There's a little bit of a spoken word type section in this track, but I love the shifting instrumental work with tempo changes and layers of guitars. It's just a really cool, expressive track that goes into Evolvage, which has more funky grooves with bass and drums and some skittering electronica, great female vocals. The chorus makes me think of something like from a band like Paramore, just really rocking, great female vocals, some great progressive rock playing in moments that showcase their chops, but tastefully. There's a great bass solo with some surrounding glitchiness before it leads to a soaring guitar break. Just really cool stuff all the way through that showcases their abilities, but always leads you with these catchy pop hooks and melodies, which for me is much appreciated and guides me through the track list. There's a short half-a-minute electronica interlude before we get into Painkiller, which is maybe one of the more poppier tracks with a great memorable hook in the chorus, just great grooves, some really cool technical playing, some swirling synth work from Joey Izzo, and just really great music leading to these soaring, powerful choruses. Really great stuff. An early single, and definitely makes sense to be one of the early singles from this release. Frozen Red Light is another cool one. Vocals start this one with some guitar stabs before the band jumps in with their typical djenty, groovy flavor. Another great example of shifting between those poppier sections and some groovier prog metal. Love this dreamier section with beautiful vocal harmonies leading to some dirty staccato bass work and guitar riffage with some glittering keys on top of it. Just a really cool vibe and presence to this track. The Try is a smoother, more laid back feel with some smooth guitar lines and gliding bass, heavenly female vocals. You get some moments of these fast prog metal workouts that pass by in an instant before we get to the more groovier feel in the main meat of the song. So it's really cool. Love the prominent bass work. Throughout the whole release, there's this really cool bass work that just grounds the music so well and gives you this funky vibe and these cool staccato, like crazy bass playing moments that are fun when they come about. There's some cool arpeggiated guitar patterns, some soothing feelings with vocal harmonies, great burst of energy towards the end, just a really cool track. CITA is another cool one with heavier guitars and shimmering synths, great tempo changes and instrumental playing with some tricky stuff between the bass drums and keys. Get some 80s synths and deep bass lines, morphing into some super cool moments of prog metal groove and shifting tempos. Just a very tasty track, leading to what might be the epic of the album. It's about a 9-minute long song, Cry Trigger, which is basically a culmination of everything that's come before it, with some great female vocals to start, some staccato vocals over a proggy backdrop before a more fluid, dreamy vocal section comes about. About 4 minutes in, we get more of an atmospheric feel with electronica elements and repeating low-key melodies with sounds glittering in and out of focus. When those glittering guitar lines and drum groove come in, it's magical, and it keeps building to greater majestic heights. Starts to have a bit of a sinister kind of feel to it with a prominent bass groove and quirky guitar solos, but then we get back to those beautiful vocal harmonies, and it just leads to a magical feel in this track and gives it that epic flavor. Just a really great selection of songs that showcases the band's energy, showcases their ability to play well in this prog metal style, but continue to keep it accessible with some great vocal hooks and melodies and incredible female vocal performance. Love all the harmonies, love all of the cool 80s synth style sounds, love the electronica elements that are pushed throughout in different ways. It just feels modern and fresh and like a great new band to follow and to lead the charge to some great new sounds and progressive metal. So definitely really excited about this band. Thankful that they gave me an early copy of this to listen to. Really like the sound and flavor of this. They're impressive players, but they don't sacrifice the melody. And that's what I'm looking for in my prog metal. So incredible stuff. Definitely well worth checking out if you want to discover a lesser known band who may be on the rise to future stardom. I'm really excited for their trajectory and what they come out with next as well. So thank you for joining me on this review. I hope you appreciated what I had to say and that you'll go out and check their album. It's available on pretty much any streaming platform, I'm sure. You can check it out from the band as well. Should be cool to see where this one lands on my eventual best of the year list. So definitely going to have a place on that list because I really adore it and had a lot of fun listening to this. So thank you guys for joining me, and hopefully you'll enjoy the music out there in whatever way you want to. All right, thank you guys. Bye, everybody.